Hello and welcome to Rainbow and Razorlet. Wow, way to start that stream. We're keeping that one in. We're going to do it live. We're doing it live. Had to do it once. Hello and welcome to Rainbows and Razorblades Productions, where chaos reigns in all of our content. My name is Steve, or Hermes4939. I'll be your GM for these sessions. Tonight is the first of a two-part adventure where we will be showcasing the brand new unreleased role-playing game World of Arzium, created by the team at Red Raven Games. This amazing TTRPG is part of the current crowdfunding project Creature Caravan, which is live on GameFound. So please head over to GameFound and take a look at this campaign right away. For the next two sessions, we'll be walking through the prototype of World of Arzium. This world was first introduced in the Red Raven board game City of Iron, and subsequent games including Above and Below, Near and Far, Now or Never, and soon to be coming out Creature Caravan. The game you will be seeing over the next two sessions is a work in progress. So we are showcasing the world, some of its characters, and playtesting the current mechanics of the game. This is a completely unsponsored preview of the game. So please remember that everything you see here is subject to change during and after the project. But before we jump into how the game works, I would love to have my cast introduce themselves, their pronouns, and the characters that they're going to be playing. So, Killian, can you start?
Hi, my name is Killian, and I am your resident Chaos Goblin and Director of Community and Content. And I will be playing Zeke, the Cracks, a crocodilian character.
And Suzanne, who is muted. We always do this once.
There's somebody that's got to start off muted.
You won the prize.
Had to go to the bathroom. Hi, I'm Suzanne. I am half of Salt and Sass Games. I also work with Restoration Games as the director, head of marketing, essentially. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be playing a Lurfrin, whose name is Brom Brunctious, and he is he, them pronouns.
Thank you. And can we move over to B Zelda, please?
What's up? What's up? As stated, my name is B Zelda. My pronouns are they, them. I might bring my microphone to my face and knock a couple things down in the process. And yeah, I'm a podcaster, streamer. I'm 100% a professional. And I am joining you today playing Crust, who is a grasskin. And, when you're a crusty grasskin, naturally you are a cook, and Crust's pronouns are they, them.
And Omar.
Hey everyone, I am Omar Najam, he, him, any, and today I have the wonderful pleasure of playing Fowler, a Toadfolk investigator.
Thank you. And back to me again. My name is Steve. I use the pronouns he, him. But now we're going to go in and talk about a little bit of the world of Arzium itself. Arzium is a world where hundreds of clever creatures live and fight together, where ancient machines and strange magics are perilous tools, and where centuries of secrets hide among the remains of fallen empires. Hogfolk, humans, toadfolk, crusaerians, lizardfolk, birdfolk, grasskin, and many more thrive in a wild world, though to most this diversity is nothing extraordinary. It's the world they've always known. But in recent years, rival city states have grown powerful in the Southwest Seas. They're industrial cities fueled by machines, powered by bottled demons and rare hexite crystals. In the vast deserts to the north, amid the rugged towns and stout farmers and miners, lie the ruins of the Arzians, a fallen civilization after which these lands are named. Treasure hunters scour these lands for ancient powers and forgotten technologies, selling their finds to the knowledge hungry scholars in the southern city states. Despite advancements, travel is slow and dangerous in most parts of the world. Many of the creatures that live in the Grand Cisterian forest in the southeast have never heard of the iron machines in the great cities, nor seen the giant islands, sky islands of the Crusaerian Sea. They're content to live quiet lives, subsisting on the work of their own hands or claws. Something until something bizarre or menacing falls into their laps, which quite often does. We start our adventure in the southeast part of the world. Let me bring that up to show you where we're going starting out. So this entire map, which we're going to have up here, this is going to be just the map of the Southern Lands. Where we're going to be starting is way all the way down here near Ren and then Sorso Castle. So in the northern section of the Valerian Forest lies Sorso Village, which surrounds Sorso Castle. The castle is owned by King Zelagar, who oversees this section of the land. There's been a recent dispute with the mountain village of Ren to the north. The dispute involves the ownership of the Silverblood mine. Since the dispute, all work has ground to a halt at the mine. This is not only this problem here is not the only problem plaguing King Zelagar. The village has started to be visited, or more likely haunted, by Mephrins. Mephrins are tall beings who appear mostly at dusk and night. They can be often found wandering caverns and mines during the day. They can be hurt by physical weapons and disappear in a flash of light if they're damaged enough. However, they simply return and regenerate within a few days. The king's resources are becoming spread thin, and he's asked the mayor of Ren for assistance. The mayor has assembled our group to assist the city, and we find them approaching Sorso Castle. But before we get into that, this game is a little bit different than some of the TTRPGs that we've played before. Specifically, you're going to see us using active players. So we're going to be going around the table, and each player is going to take their turn being the active player. The active player is going to ultimately decide where the group travels and is going to make decisions for what's called a specific scene. A scene can last anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour of in-game time. But once that scene is over, then we will transfer that active player to someone else in the group. Throughout that period of time, where we may come into challenges. Challenges use attribute points to help assist in the die rolls, which are done on a D10. And we are also going to be seeing some battles through these next two sessions. Very specifically, one of the big differences you're going to see is that during these battles, there is no rolling to hit. Battles are quick and they are often deadly. Hopefully not for the players themselves. But each turn, the enemies get more and more powerful and do more and more damage. So the players are going to have to find ways to use items, barter their way, talk their way, or do whatever they can. Some of these special actions are called gambits, where they're not always. It's kind of the thinking outside the box term for this specific TTRPG. But throughout this game, we're going to be going through, and we're going to be basically how it's best done is we're just going to start off with the beginning of our quest. We're going to be going through and introducing our characters, getting to know them a little bit more, and then really delving into the world that is World of Arzium. And so as we come up to Sorso Castle itself, you're going to see a large red castle in front of you, surrounded. What surrounds Sorso Castle is the main village itself. Specifically, the interesting thing about this village is how actually well defended it can be. This castle was built on a section of old ruins, and there can be walls that can be presented, and almost like a mechanical wall can be shoved up certain times in different places in the village. So it's very clear on why this castle and why this area was initially populated. But before we get into who's actually in Sorso Castle, Zeke, can I have you explain a little bit on why you're interested in helping the village of Sorso with their current predicament?
Well, you see, I've been studying, and the Mephrins, they're really cool, and I want to learn more about them and figure out why they leave and come back, and if we can figure out either somewhere to put them so that they're not being around people that don't want them there, or for them to just not come back, which would be sad, but I mean, it would be okay, I guess.
Mhm. And Zeke, you are a scholar, correct?
I am.
Yep. And so there's going to be several different things that Zeke has available to them. Specifically, some of them stone skin prepared, and so we're going to see languages. There's going to be a lot of different things that Zeke's going to have that's going to assist them on this adventure. Crust, can you tell me a little bit about your character and what draws you to this adventure?
Yeah, I mean, small, grassy, charismatic, motivated, and always filled with snacks. Crust really spends a lot of their time hunting for ingredients in the forest. The forest is a great place to forage, make friends, hunt, fish, literally everything that you would need to survive the forest provides. So this forest is really, really important that I stay around and protect it because, like, what's the point of these two cities if there's no forest in between? What does not make sense to Crest. Crest need forest.
Thank you. And we will go over to Brahm. Brahm, tell us a little bit about why you're drawn to this and who Brahm is.
Well, the Brunctious family has been in the business of providing high quality tools and resources to all in this kingdom. And to see all of the wonderful people that we have supported and who have supported us for so long suffer, and for our beloved family business to be suffering under these conditions is unacceptable. So I want to both ensure the longevity of the good Brunctious family business and, of course, the safety and happiness of all of our wonderful community here.
Thank you very much for that, Brahm. And last but not least, Fowler, please tell me all about what Fowler is about and their motivation.
They are a stout frog in a pressed vest and a dress shirt, always racing around, peering into like holes in walls and sorting through mail, and always is searching for a clue because she wants so badly to join an exclusive investigators company. And up until now, everyone's kind of like laughed her off because she hasn't really solved like a big mystery, hasn't like uncovered anything of value. And so she is out there to prove herself and show everyone that she's actually the best detective in the land.
Excellent. Thank you all for your for the little bit of a peek into the motivations behind all the characters. And that again is one of the things that's a little bit different about this specific TTRPG is there's a lot of it's quest based for a lot of it, meaning that you have specific quests that you want to have completed, and that's the way that you level up your character. We're not going to be counting specific XP for battles or for investigation or anything like that, but through the completion of a quest. When the quest is completed, they're for when they're currently level 1, you complete one quest, then you go to level 2. At level 2, you need to complete 2 basic quests, and then you move to level 3. During that level up portion, you're going to be gaining certain benefits, whether they be a max attribute and also you will be gaining XP in individualized form. I think it's 2 XP for per level, and that is what you're going to use to then buy any skills that you want. There's certain skills, like one of the ones that Brahm has, that's called Makeshift Master, which is a very expensive skill. I think it's 12 XP. But it lets Brahm create makeshift weapons, makeshift items, armor, all kinds of stuff with just general materials that Brahm's going to be able to find throughout the adventure. But Brahm has that as a builder, where they got it for free when they created their character. So there's a lot
You
of
mean I've
customized.
inherited my fabulous skills through my generations of the Brunctious family business?
You didn't just walk into it. I mean, you had the ability that you had to work hard for this. This isn't just something that anyone comes across. I mean, let's go.
It's 12 XP.
But as you let's move into the actual story itself. As you're approaching Sorso Castle, um, what is the group's plan? Like, do you have a current person that's going to be your spokesperson? Is it something that you plan on doing together? What's the discussion been on your travel from Ren down to Sorso Castle? Like, did the group come up with a plan along the way? What are we thinking? Because we had moved from Ren down to Sorso Castle.
Crust has no plan. Crust follows instructions so very well, though. Mostly because Crust reads a lot of recipe books.
Okay, someone should be in charge when we're going to talk to everybody. Should it be you, Crust? You seem like someone with a plan.
Does anybody know how to formulate a plan to travel? We
I
could
mean,
formulate a sandwich really well.
I think that we need to have a map so we know where we're going. That's important. Maps are always important.
Okay.
And
Uh,
oh, I don't have a map, but um, and then and then I don't know. I haven't really traveled before. I just go to the library.
that is traveling. Crust has never been to a library.
It's so cool. There's so many books, and you can travel to other worlds in these books without leaving where you're sitting.
Do these libraries contain recipe books?
I bet they do. I personally burn anything that I try to cook, so I haven't really looked.
You might be using too much fire. Crust knows the
That
exact amount of fire
could
necessary
be.
for cooking.
Maybe, do you want to be the one that talks on behalf of the party?
Crust?
Hey, Brom, I think
Brom?
Brom.
you've
Brom.
traveled. You do things with your family business, right?
I do know a fair number of people in the general area who travel to and fro, so to speak. But far be it from me, I very much admire your mission, Zeke, and am fascinated by all that I've heard you and Fowler discussing while we've been prepping and on the way. But of course, should I happen upon folks that I know along the way, I am very happy to make introductions because the more people that we get to know, the more people will be happy to purchase some more excellently crafted, brunctious wares.
Brom, can you give us a second really quickly? And I want to take the other two and form like a little huddle. Okay, so how do we feel about Brom being the one that talks on behalf of the group? Brom seems to know a lot of people outside.
I mean, it sounds like they've talked to more people than we have. I mean, I mostly just talk to books, and that
Uh,
might be kind of weird.
Crust is in agreement, but Crust expresses some concern just in regards to uh, do all of our do their goals align with ours? We are not selling wares. Crust sells nothing.
Well, to
Crust
sell
just
their
wants.
wares, they need to be able to have trade back. And if we do this and we help the Mephrins find somewhere else to be, which is my goal, uh, then maybe they get trade again. And so it's in their best interest to be aligned with us, I think is how this works.
Crust is happy.
okay, all
Okay.
right. Okay, break. We open up the huddle. Okay, let's put it to a vote then. Who votes that Brom is going to be the one to talk to people from on the outside of our group?
Crust votes
Oh,
in Brom's favor.
goodness. Well, I appreciate your vote of confidence, and I will do the best to ensure our journey is safe and content for all of us.
Well, Crust thinks your first choice should be handing out this pile of food Crust has. And it's just like a bag you can put your hand into, and whatever you pull out will either be health increasing, attribute increasing, attack increasing, or movement increasing. Why don't I give you the food option, and then like, do you want to decide the special effect, or do you want to decide the food?
Oh, I very much want to decide the food.
Yeah. Yeah, surprise us with the effect.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You too? So, Crust is gonna kind of rummage in the bag, and Crust has a jar of hearty stew. Uh, Crust has a box of sweet spice cake. Hmm. Ooh, Crust has some tea bags that can be brewed, and they pull out like one of those bamboo containers. Ah, and Crust has some spicy rice dumplings.
I think the spicy rice dumplings sound fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, if you don't mind, Crust, I'll take the tea if that's okay.
You have to bring your own water.
Oh, I can find water, Crust. Don't even worry about that.
BYO water. Okay. Crust is happy. Crust sometimes doesn't always know where to find water.
Oh, I can find water very easily. Don't even worry about that, Crust. Thank you very much. And I just
Good.
pocket that into my chest pocket.
Well, I have to admit, the dumplings were very appealing to me, but that hearty stew looks excellent. Now, dear Zeke, because you took the dumplings, would you by any chance be willing to exchange a little bit of your dumpling for a little bit of my hearty stew?
Sure, having a little bit of both is always fantastic.
I am very excited for this cornucopia of treats. And I must say, Crust, I am very grateful for your wonderful, gracious hospitality as we are on the road. And I will offer you some Brom bonus bucks for the next time that you join us at the Brunctious shop.
Yes, Crust will carry this with great honor. What do they look like?
They're just we'll just call it like a little small token, like just a very small token, but it just as a sign of my appreciation. We really love building a good relationship with all of our friends,
I love
and
it.
this was a beautiful gesture with these delicious snacks.
Oh, Crust thinks these bonus bucks are almost like a reward system. Crust is very excited.
And so as we end, and the party has obviously gotten their leader, has exchanged food and pleasantries, and has then made their way down to Sorso Castle, eventually pretty much without issue. It's a well traveled road. When you arrive at Sorso Castle, you are approaching the main gate. And Bram, you would know this better than most as you approach the main gate, is that the city is obviously much more on edge. In the day, not so much, but you can tell that people are fortifying for the night that is coming due to the ongoing issues with the Mephren. When you arrive at the main gate, the gate is closed, but there are two guards that are standing outside. And these two guards, they're not equipment, but there's obviously, this is all the different folk as you're going to see in here. The guards outside are going to be lizard folk. So when you're seeing them, you see they're both blue in color, and
Hmm.
the lizard folk more resemble kind of like a bearded dragon than anything else. If you know what those look like. So yeah, you have essentially some blue bearded dragons that are standing guard with really long pole arms, spears type. Some leather armor that is patched around and is dyed a similar red color as to the castle itself. So Bram, you definitely recognize these as just Sorso guards, but the
Absolutely.
way is shut in front of you.
Okay,
Oh,
should we talk to them or do you what do you think?
well, I I I absolutely think we should. First of all, these are the people of the city are our friends. And if I am not mistaken, Morv! Morv! Is that you? Morv! And Brom is
Eh,
kind of shouting and waving at one of the guards who looks quite familiar.
Mhm. And it 100% is more. And as they kind of turn and they look, Bram, Br- Bram, is that
Hi.
you? Hey, hey, come on!
I knew we
And then
made
he
the
kind
right
of
decision.
pokes to his own and
Trust
said, "Yeah,
agrees.
this is a Brunctious shop that they got up north, and yeah, they have some really great stuff. Brom, come on up. What are you? It's dangerous around here. What are you doing?" And you
Well,
obviously are called to approach, but
uh,
yeah, you're still
so I
outside.
kind of gesture with because I want to take my friends with me. Marv, it's so
Mhm.
good to see you, and please, my friends and I, we would love to come in. We know that it can be dangerous out here, and we've made the long journey because we're trying to help with this situation along with all of my friends here. Can we? It seems unusual. Usually, you're not here when I approach. So, is it okay if we enter and take respite in the city for the evening?
We bring snacks.
So wait, you were you one of you're the one you're the group that was sent from Ren down here to help?
Our reputation precedes us.
Yeah, we were told by we were told by the group that they were going to have someone that come down. Hold on, he turns around, and yells, open the gate. We got someone get a hold of Vorga. We got the group here. Hold on. And then the gate
You're so cool.
slowly raises and said, "Yeah, just step inside the main gate of the castle, and then Vorga will be out in just a little bit, and you can't miss him."
Right. So
And so,
we'll all go
go
in.
ahead. Yeah, and as you enter in into the city, or not into the city, you're already in the village on the outside. You are now inside Sorso Castle. As you go inside Sorso Castle, you can see that there are different groups of soldiers. There are some that are resting, like they haven't didn't even bother going back to homes or barracks. There's small campfires that are already set up. There's food being passed out. And they have other ones that you can see that are donning armor that you know that they're going to be out on a certain section of the night watch. And you can easily tell that the mayor of Ren was not joking when the Sorso Castle and the Sorso Village resources have been spread thin. This is apparent that this ongoing threat is severely depleting just the morale and the health of all the soldiers that are here. Um, and as
Um,
the go ahead.
oh, I want to make them stew. I want to boost their morale.
Yeah, sure. Um, quite, without a doubt, like there's many townsfolk and people that are there, and you see there are some grasskin that are involved as well. Um, no one has a specific job, and there's no job based on what kind of folk you are or anything like that. Obviously, they don't have a lot of the grasskin individuals. And can you explain again how big Crust is?
I mean, I have it marked as tiny, but I truly am not.
Mhm.
I think my options were like 1 to 3 feet. I've been making a
Yeah.
lot of characters this week, so I might have
Yep.
that wrong.
It's generally between 6 to 12 inches. So as a grasskin, you are very diminutive, and I know, Zeke, you are also quite tiny as well. Is that
Well, you
correct?
see, Zeke came afoul of a Christic when they were first traveling to Ren, and Zeke was originally 4 feet tall. Zeke is now 4 inches tall.
Ooh, you're smaller than me. You're so
I,
small.
I'm very tiny
Yes.
and I'm very throwable.
I'm a respectable like 10 inches.
And so without a doubt, it's very easy for Crust to be going over and starting to, and because there are so many other grasskin, there's so many different sizes of people, it's very easy for you to find an assistive device of like actual stairs that gets up to different pots and different things, and to be able to talk to different individuals. So without a doubt, I'm not going to require use of any materials or anything like that for you as a cook, because there's
Okay.
plenty here within the castle. But what are you said you wanted to provide hearty stew?
Yeah, so I want to see if I can
Hmm.
use some ingredients they have, some ingredients I
Hmm.
have.
Yep.
Maybe I can see what they have in a garden or a backyard. I'm an expert at finding food out of nothing.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Because you also have. You have gourmet cooking.
Which
Um,
is what I did. I'm
yep,
not
and
actually now
so
I was thinking of, like, is this when I would be using my materials?
and that's one thing is I'm not going to require you to use your own materials. I'm going to say that Sorcel Castle has those available to you. But we'll move in after we talk to Vorga. If you want to actually look around for more materials while you're helping, that is
Okay,
definitely something that Crust would be able to do. What do you think about that?
perfect.
Wonderful. And while you see Crust is just moving off to start assisting in cooking and providing meals, you can immediately see the change in just the just the guards that are there. Immediately upon ingesting this wonderful stew, you can even see some of the wounds healing. You can see just color returning to the face because when someone eats hearty stews specifically, they have a plus three. They have a plus three HP, I believe. Yep, plus three temporary max health,
You
and
got
that
it.
is for the full day. And so it is. There's definitely now almost like a line, a little bit of a line forming, and now you almost have like assistants that are coming up and providing more. Regular food is obviously easy to get in this kind of wilderness area where Sorso Castle and Village is, but to have an actual gourmet cook who's actually able to increase health and
Crust
repairs
brings the
and
flavor.
it's Flavor Town, folks. It's Flavor Town. And you actually like put on some goggles and you kind of spike up your hair a little bit and you suddenly whip out a flame t-shirt and everything's good to
Perfect.
go. And but while you kind of watch Crust doing this and seeing the morale improve, um, you see a what is a female presenting Crisarian. Crisarians are have a very dark complexion and are from the surprise Crisarian Islands, which we will pull up the map real quick and show actually where that is because it is across the world. Crissaria is way, way down here. So it's not necessarily rare that people have traveled all around. But this Crisarian, who people move out of the way, you're seeing some nodding of heads. Who this must be Vorga, who has bright shining armor that has some dents in it here and there. You can definitely tell that they have been in the mix with it, and there's some burn marks here and there, and some scorching upon their armor, but they're still standing extremely strong at about 6 feet tall, not hugely muscled, but when you can see as they're walking and even in their arms, it's all that corded muscle like a gymnast, not necessarily like a massive weightlifter. And Vorga walks over to Bram, Fowler, and Zeke, and approaches and is excuse me, are you the group from Ren that has come to assist us?
We are, dear Vorga. Thank you so much for hosting us. We come, as you can see, our dear friend Crust is doing what they can to support your tired troops, and we are lucky. Of course, I am Brom of Brunctious Industries here, along which you may be familiar with some of our amazing goods, but we are very lucky to have both Zeke and Fowler here as well, and their knowledge of the Mephren is incredible and will undoubtedly prove quite useful.
And while I greatly appreciate your assistance, especially in increasing the morale of the soldiers, and I can see that already, but I don't. And she kind of almost actually looks around, hoping that suddenly, like, there's more warriors coming out. Like, she's kind of looking around. She's not, being condescending specifically, but you can tell her kind of looking and kind of waiting for
As
other
she
people to arrive.
as she looks around, Fowler is
Mhm.
just gonna like stay exactly in like the center view of just like it's such an honor to be here for us to be able to hop into this mission. We're so very excited. Zeke happens to be one of the foremost experts on this very subject, and I happen to be one of the greatest detectives in the entire land. It is rumored. So it's wonderful to be here. Oh, is there, you keep tilting your head around as if I'm blocking your view for something.
No, I'm again. I can. Knowledge is something that here in Sorso is very important to us. But however, we have been plagued nightly by the Mephren. So, and she kind of composes herself a little bit more. And you say investigators and scholars. I, I suppose I can provide you some information that we received. It's information that we have not been able to investigate ourselves because we're set upon nightly by the Mephrins. And if you're not able to assist us in battle, maybe you can run down some of these leads. Uh,
Could you give us
um,
just 1 second? Can we go do a quick
yeah,
little
yeah,
group
sure.
huddle? Just the three of us. This is perfect. We've got information that we can go through. This is wonderful. That's all I really wanted to say.
Yeah, I think that they were expecting better fighters, but I mean, I'm small, but I can still pack a punch if I want to, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, Zeke. Absolutely.
Okay.
You may be small, but I have no doubt about your mightiness. And while Borga may be 2 feet taller than me, I have no doubt that we will be able to earn their respect both for your intellect and for our power.
Okay. We got this, right? Right.
We got
Okay.
this.
Break.
Break.
And so Brom can go to Vorga and look up because, of course, Brahm is completely average at his height of 3.5 feet for the Lurfrin, just right in that midline of Lurfrin height. Of course, looks up at Vorga and is very strong and says, "Dear Vorga, we would not have come here if we did not have confidence in our ability to be of the utmost assistance through motivation, intellect, and strength. And we appreciate any information that you can impart upon us, and we are happy to assist in any way that we can with whatever mission that you might have so that we might prove our ability to you as well."
and 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 she kind of smiles despite herself and with how tired that she is and seeing her people injured, but she does honestly smile at all of you and is honestly kind of, and it's just a little bit of a bright spot. I mean, these are people who are energized and who are literally asking to help. And so she kind of really does compose herself again, and she says, well, this is the information that I have. I have three pieces of different information, and take it as you will. There's an old farmer named Early Saria that said she actually talked to one of the Mephrins, and she lives just kind of a short walk from the village in the forest itself. There's also a supposedly a hidden grasskin village somewhere in the forest. The grasskin might actually know what's angered the Mephrins themselves, but no one's been able to find the village, and we don't know where the village is. And then there's also reports of just missing miners from Silver Blood Mine itself, and some say they've seen the Mephrins there. But because I can't send anyone to any of these locations, I honestly don't know the validity of any of these, or if we have, or what information is valuable or not. I'm still spending my time boarding windows, feeding people, in which your friend over there has been extremely helpful for. But that's the information I have. If there's something that you can do in the next couple days, that's going to be about the limit of the time and energy that my troops have at this point.
That's all very good places to start. And I, for one, would like to gather all of the information. So we will do our best to get any information we can to help you out in your time of need. That was good, right?
Honestly, yeah.
That was
Honestly, I
great.
do
Good
think
job.
I do thank the four of you, and we do thank Ren for sending a party down. I know it has been very difficult with the issues of the mine. I'm not going to lie that the King's Elegar in the best interest of Sorso, took control of that mine. But that's not my job here. My job is here is to protect the people, and if you can help me do that, then I will be greatly indebted to you, and so will everyone of Sorso.
So
Really,
Brom's gonna call over Crust because Crust has been helping with the
yeah.
soldiers, right? But I think with
Mhm.
especially with this information about a hidden Graskin village, right? We need Crust.
Mhm.
So Crust, please come join us.
Well, crust is out of stew. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And I'll walk over.
And so of course we kind of share this information a little bit quickly with Crust, and then with Vorga there, even though Vorga can probably hear us, it's like friends. There's so many options. Zeke, you know so much about the Meffrin, but I'm wondering, Crust, have you it sounds like this hidden Graskin village, you may have an advantage that the people of Sorso City may not have, and perhaps you can help us in that front. And it would be a unique service we could provide.
Crust does not know where this village is, but Crust has watched a lot of Naruto where there was Hidden Leaf Village, so Crust thinks that we could probably solve this one.
Excellent. Zeke, do you have any suggestions on what we should pursue first?
I think that the Graskin angle is probably our best bet because if they've been here and are in hiding, then it's entirely possible that they, as I know, a lot of the Grasskin are easily able to hide and see
Cr-
things that
Crust is
others
good
don't
at
know
it.
that they see.
Yeah.
Uh, they have maybe seen the Mephrons and seen what happened to the Mephrons to cause them to be what they are being.
Fowler, with your instincts, your investigative instincts, do you think that that is the correct lead to follow right now?
I agree that the Graskin village holds the most intrigue for us currently. I do have one quick follow-up question for you, Vorga. You mentioned that the king took over the mine. Is that correct?
He indicated that he took over the rights of the mine from the village of Ren. There was a dispute over the ownership of the mine, and King Zeligar indicated that the mine was owned by Sorso, and the mayor of Ren is disputing that. And so, until they can come to a conclusion, all mining has stopped at this point. That's the most that I know at this time.
And one follow-up question: is the mayor the only one upset about this situation, is the public also having a vested interest?
Well, honestly, especially with the missing miners, um, a, a lot of industry and just natural raw materials comes out of that mine and in that area. The mine itself is extremely important for the people that live near here. It's not a long trip. The mine, and as we see as I pull up the map here, the mine, the Silver Blood mine is in this area, kind of up to the north. It kind of in between Sorso Castle and Ren itself, and so any kind of, just as Brom would specifically know, and I'll explain this a little. The Borga will explain this as a little bit. Is that a lot of these tensions have just literally stopped any and most of the commerce between the two villages. So a lot of the farms in the Sorso Castle and the Sorso village, trading that for goods of Ren, when there's a lot of foundries and a lot of more industrial work up in Ren, like Brahm's family and lineage has been a part of. So a lot of that symbiotic relationship has been strained at this point. Even worse so with the Mephrons attacking, no one is tending to farms and things like that during those times when they cannot sleep or cannot do anything. But as we kind of switch back, Borga, kind of explains this in a bit more of a kind of in a concise manner. And so, for the most part, that's all I specifically know. And I have to apologize that I can't provide more information. We have been beset for night after night by the Mephrons, and while they can wear down some of my soldiers, they come back in a couple days even stronger. And my soldiers, without things like Crust's help, are just getting worn down more and more, and the people are just honestly scared. We're not able to get. We don't have as many weapons and tools and goods that we would have from the last couple weeks with from Ren. That we've been missing shipments because of the relationship that all started because of the mine.
I see. Okay. I turn back to my team. I think that these are all connected. And the first thread for us to pull
Absolutely.
on is the hidden village.
Excellent.
Vorga, just real quick, the hidden village might take us all day tomorrow to find, and I know that we're getting close to the evening. Is early Saria close enough that we can get out and talk to her and be back before dusk?
Yeah, yeah, it's only probably maybe a 15-20 minute walk outside of the village, and you should be able to be back, and I'm sure that I can put you up at either an inn in town, or you can just come back to the castle. Um and if your friend Crust here, Crust, you've come back over at this point, or are you still
Yeah,
cooking? Okay.
No, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
crust
And
right out
I
of stew.
Yeah, and they was said, and if there's more goods that I can provide you, if this is something that you can provide some food and some more benefit from what you've obviously done just in the short time being here, I'm happy to provide that. And if you're able to do that, even provide you some goods on your trip. But as of right now, yeah, 15-20 minutes to go to see early Saria and then back. And if you want to stay here in the castle, feel free. Otherwise, you can find some lodging here within Sorso Village.
Now that you mention it, there is one thing I think we do need a little bit. And I wink at Crust and I turn back to Vorga. Do you happen to have any hot water available?
Y- yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, hold on, Sergeant. Yeah, and a another and it's actually a robot that comes up. Again, they're about 5 feet tall, but they have actual like they're bright red, but they have rabbit ears, um,
Cute.
and bright yellow eyes, but rabbit ears, but otherwise extremely like a hulking metal body. But is you hear the kind of stomps that come up, but there's not like a clanging noise. It's a really smooth gliding. And Sergeant, yes, Vargo, how can I help you? We just need some hot water, and I know that they had just prepped for some in the kitchen for some of the wounds. Can you have someone bring out a jug or something? Yes, of course. Hold on. And the robot immediately whooshes away and comes back with kind of like just a reinforced clay pitcher full of steaming water.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. And I
Yes, you're most
turn
welcome.
slowly away with the jug.
Yes, you have a jug of hot water.
Our jug now.
All right.
Excellent. So we
So,
can ask Borga for the direction to see early Saria because it sounds
yes,
like
Yep.
that would be a good quick
it's
jaunt, so
close
to
enough.
speak,
Closest.
right?
Yes. And I mean, if she has talked to him, Efren, I personally would love to speak with her.
Yep. It's just going to be, and they
But we
kind of,
must satisfy your curiosity.
yep, they kind of pull out kind of like just a real basic map. And they kind of draw where early Saria is down a little bit to the southwest from Sorso Castle, but really there's not much to draw. She's kind of just pointing you down, one of it's the southwest trail. No, sorry, southeast trail out of town. That will take you there. She marks where the Silver Blood mine is again only going to be up to the northeast. And then the Grasskin Village, they're like, I'm pretty sure it's supposedly to the east someplace. I can't imagine it's too far from the Silver Blood mine if they have an idea of what's going on. So you kind of get it's kind of get your bearings for the area. Crust, I think you would have the best knowledge of the area itself, just from your essentially your wandering and just your gathering, that kind of thing. Also, Crust has what's called the wandering ability, which provides them +1 to travel and survival in the wilderness. So.
We wander a lot. Crust likes to look for things on the ground. It's where you find the
Mhm.
best stuff.
Oh yeah. So you've been provided your hot water, and you have been provided kind of general directions. Is this something where we want that you're going to be heading out? What's kind of the group's plan from here? And from here, we're going to actually move to active player. So we're going to probably. Since Zeke, this was something you were excited about. I'm moving active player is going to go. The order we're going to be going is going to be Zeke to Brom to Crust to Fowler. Just how that's how it shows up on my screen.
That works.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
so we've got enough daylight that we can make it out to see early, and I'm still not convinced that she actually spoke to a Muffin, but if she did, that would be really cool. And so I think that if we go there first, it'll be quick, easy peasy mac and cheesy. I don't know what mac and cheese is, but it sounds delicious.
Oh, Crust will discover this. Crust will find a recipe for mac and cheesy.
Excellent. Then, sh- Deke, please, I have the utmost confidence in this, in your ability to learn a much from Saria. So shall we? Shall we go? And we
Yes.
can all pack up
Uh,
and go, but let's
Crust,
make haste so
help,
that we can return before it becomes too dark.
help me find my way because I'm directionally challenged.
Oh, Crust goes between these kind of this area all the time. Crust will look at the ground and think very hard as we do our first roll.
Mhm.
So what is this gonna look like?
What we're going to just to get to Saria, I would say because you've been specifically directed, that's not going to be difficult. If we move to actually traveling between hexes, and I'll pull up a hex map here in just a second to kind of explain a little bit. Kind of what how we're going to run this. Something that's just a short walk away. Specifically, let's say we start at Sorso Village in this hex, or Sorso Castle in this hex here. Considering early Saria to just be a short walk. In let's say like a quarter of a day, and I'll bring that up here in a minute. You can get between 1 and 2 hexes away, just
Okay.
depending on the land. So about a half a day, you can get between 1 and 2 hexes. And this is something where you have different there's going to be different, and I have a map kind of written out here in my chicken scratch handwriting that uses different some of these different symbols to mark what is going to be actually on the map and what you're going to see here.
So basically, we're
And
not
so
leaving our hex. We're staying in the hex.
nope,
Okay.
you're staying in your current hex at this point. And I'm going to be tracking our days and quests on this sheet here. And so what I'm going to be doing, we have morning, afternoon, and then evening, and then more of a nighttime. This is going to matter for Fowler and Crust, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. This, Fowler has the Night Owl
Mhm.
trait or ability, which gives +1 to challenge rolls in the evening, and Crust has him for the morning as of right now. We're going to be starting our quest kind of in midday here. By the time you kind of get to early Saria, it's probably going to be more of the afternoon, evening time.
Okay.
Okay, just for just for bookkeeping sake. Um, and the reason that is that there is a generally a time period for how long you have to complete quests, generally around 5 to 8 days. Because this is just an early session and we stop to pause and discuss things, and we're streaming it. I'm not as harsh as checking down all these boxes, but it is meant to move the narrative forward, so to speak, as we go forward. Um, so the group is going to be heading out of town, heading to go see early Saria, and we are going to arrive. And it's a fairly wide path that brings you to early Saria's kind of home. It's a modest house. She lives outside of the village. She lives down near what is a pretty small lake, or at least the start of a lake. You can see it. It's a lake the size enough that you can see the other side, but definitely you wouldn't want to try to swim it unless you're a very of the amphibious nature. Um, but she has something where it is kind of actually built into the side of a massive tree. You can see that the tree kind of had its gap starting already, and you can see that she's dug into the ground, propped up rocks, everything like that, and it's actually kind of hugged into the side of this tree. She has a nice garden of either side of her stone path. Um, and there's actually a couple glass windows in this as well. It's essentially just a very a nice little hut. You can see on the inside that the windows are kind of not necessarily fogged up a little bit, but they're a little bit more dirty, not necessarily clear on the inside, but nothing otherwise is giving you any indication of any issues or problems as you're approaching.
Giving cozy cottage for sure.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Crust likes this place. Crust will examine garden and see if Crust can maybe borrow some basil.
Yeah. You're definitely identifying that there's a couple basil plants that you can see, and as you kind of walk up to the basil plant, you're kind of used to this of either grabbing grasskin portions or larger folk portions.
Larger, yeah. I got pockets
So
on pockets on pockets, so
yep, and so you're kind of actually as you're taking some of these basil leaves, you're kind of like you have a very specific method of folding them up. So you're not actually breaking the leaf itself. It's kind of like a rolling process, but also there's nothing saying you wouldn't be used to handing this off to Fowler or even Brom at this point because you would be scavenging a couple things. But as you know, the rest of you see kind of Crust kind of wandering through these plants and everything like that. The door just blows open, and there is a female presenting that you can only assume is going to be early Saria, and there is what is a just a massive bird folk individual, um,
ooh.
easily 6 feet tall, but also if this was a bar fight, this is be the person that you're betting on. Um, and they almost move out of this door. The door is only like 3 or 4, like maybe 4 feet tall, so they come out and they have these beautiful blue and red wings. They have this blue plume going down their red feathers, but the amount of obscenities that come out of their mouth completely makes almost some birds fly away in the distance. Who's in my garden? What are you
Uh,
doing here?
Pick me up so I'm higher. I don't think she could hear me down here.
Well, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick you up, and then I'm also gonna shout, whoa, fair greeting, dear friend. We are seeking early Saria. Zeke, my friend here, please.
And Zeke
And
has out their little tiny, like less than an inch big journal and pen. It's like, early Saria, we have been sent here by the good folk at Sorso Castle. We're here to help with the Mefrin issue, and I would love to hear your story about talking to one.
immediately that's what you want to say, and you get through and you Brom gets through the lifting and the turning, and this massive head just looks at you and then leans in, and the beak itself is similar to your size, and you can even see kind of the jagged points if you've ever seen some
Mhm.
bird beaks. And they're like, what the hell happened to you?
I I used to be taller, but a curstic done cursed me because I just wandered in the wrong place on the wrong day, and so they said, "You be tiny," and now I'm tiny.
You happy that way?
I mean, it's a little hard getting around places, but otherwise, I mean, I eat less, and I don't have to
All
like.
right, that's enough. And you see
Okay.
her push her wing out, and there's almost a wind gust that's a magical wind gust comes out and just parts all the basil leaves and said, "You done in there? You find what you need?"
Crust is happy. Thank you. Crust found some time and some different basil variants, but yeah, Crust is happy. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just
You're one
like
of those
probably like
cooks.
a lumpy, I'm just filled with
Yep.
herbs now.
Here is a coin for the trouble of crust
Oh, Crust has
being in your
Brom
cabin.
bucks. Brom coins.
That's right.
Russ, you go in, you go write down one of your recipes for one of the things that you cook, obviously, and then I'll trade you for those ingredients. Fair?
Crust agrees. That's very fair.
Now, who's the one that wants to know about the Mefren? My
Me,
little frog friend here. You? All
well,
right.
both of us. We're a team.
All right. Come inside. I need you to write down that recipe anyway. And so they just turn around just unbidden, like you expected, kind of like this, almost like this mystic or something like that. And
Mhm.
there's a rough around the edges bird person.
He is not exactly
And
what I expected.
and they go in.
Definitely more intense.
Good. Yep, they head inside and bring yourself in. And what's the names again?
Well, dear friend, early sorry, I am Brom Brunctious, of course, of Brunctious Industries in the north, and very honored to be in your home. Thank
I
you so
didn't
much
ask for your life story, buddy. I just want some names. Who's
Hi,
next?
Zeke.
I'm Fowler. I am one of the most prestigious investigators
Dear Zeke,
in the entire
please,
land.
please, dear Zeke, introduce yourself.
Oh, Zeke, yeah, Fowler is my partner, and we investigate things. Well, he does the investigate, or she does the investigating, and I do the learning and the reading and the researching. And I would love to hear your story about talking to the Mefrin, as it could help us help others.
All right, sit down. And, instantly, as they go, you can see them rustling around in their stuff. And as you walk in, there are potion bottles upon potion bottles of dried herbs, dried minerals. Like there's books on the wall. There's everything is really well organized. There's a beautiful like wooden table in the middle with some chairs around it, finely polished. Like there's a huge contrast of individual versus personal space. And they pull over a like a magnifying glass, and they prep it, and they put down just a grasskin size piece of paper. They put a light behind it, and so as they put down even a grasskin size quill, and but the instant they do that, it makes like a projector, and so they can actually see the recipe up on the wall. And so you get writing, and then we'll talk about this Mefrin mess that they got themselves going on up in there.
Love it. Crust likes
And
this technology.
so they open they move over, and they have a what it can only be, it's this ball size shape, and it's literally covered with a cloth, so at some point it is probably a polished hexite crystal ball. And they pull it off, and they're starting to make very intricate movements, and then it brings up what can be only a picture of a Mefrin. And they're like, these are the people you this is the spirits that you're looking for. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, these things don't mess around. I had one that kind of approached a couple nights ago. And it tried to kick its way in the door, and that only worked once, and then it goes over, and it picks a jar up off the table, and then it puts it down next to the crystal ball.
Ooh.
It spent the day in the jar. And then we came to a bit more of an understanding when that took place. After about a day in there, it kind of changed its quote unquote tune a little bit, and it became a little bit more chatty. um it identified itself as Namal, this specific Nephrin was. And there's something wrong. They're angry and upset about something. It could not individually explain why it had been approaching this village, but from the information that I got, the any populated areas are going to be at risk at this point. I don't know if it's the all the folk in each area, but I don't know if it's the individual vibrations of our whatever we have that powers us. I know we have bottled demons that we use to power machinery and things like that, but each individual, each one of you has a very specific vibration that travels through the cosmos, so to speak. And when you all kind of coalesce in one area, that vibration can either be harmonious or non-harmonious, either with the world or with each other. Now, as I'm looking at the four of you, um, you're not bugging me like most people do. Most people make me all itchy. As she kind of stops itching for a second,
Oh,
but all of you seem to be a bit of a harmonious troop that you got going on here. So I would want you to continue figuring out this problem. But yeah, the Mephram problem is real. That is no joke, and it has to do with something's gone wrong. Whatever kept them calm in this area, something's been disturbed, but I don't know what that is. I can keep myself safe and probably the area. I don't know. I haven't been up to the village specifically. I know that I'm able to keep myself safe. So that's as much as I got from Namal when I talked to them.
That's so
Around
much more than I was expecting, and can't believe you got to speak to one. That's so cool.
Yeah, well, he was a little pain in the butt too.
Well, I mean, yeah, most people are, if we're being honest.
Crust
Fair.
Always
wonders.
interrupt my reading.
Oh, do you want to continue?
No, go ahead,
Zeke?
Crest. I'm done.
Okay. Crust was just curious about if you knew about the missing Grasskin village. Well, it's not missing. It's like hidden. It's just like
Missing.
out of sight.
Oh,
There's not so much missing. Crust mixes up words sometimes.
um, I know there's a Grasskin village. Any of you got a map?
Uh,
Indeed, we have a fine map.
Yeah, okay. Give me a
Rom
second.
carries the map.
And they take a look at the map, and then they kind of start getting out kind of some tools, and they're being quite meticulous about where they're measuring and things like that. And then they even get out like a tuning fork and bang it on the table, and then they keep moving across the map, and they say, well, best I can guess with these grass kin, and they kind of circle an area in the map that is probably somewhere in this area here. Now you got the Silver Blood mine that is going to be a bit north of that Grasskin village, but
Okay.
my best guess is they're at least in this area here. And so about, I don't know, maybe a full day looking at. Then she kind of looks down at the feet. Maybe about a full day's walk. Different if you took a pack turtle or a pack bird. That would probably be a little bit more of assistance. You'd move a little bit quicker that way.
Oh yes.
Um,
Crust knows that we have a system. We have two pairs of longish legs that will travel us very well. Crust is not worried.
well, I'm glad you're not worried.
Haha.
And so that's yeah, that's about mostly what I got for that Mephren thing. How you doing on that? How you doing on that recipe there, old tiny bottom?
Oh, Crust is almost done. Crust wonders, how do you spell uh what's the hard word to spell anise and that star anise that I can never truly say.
Anise.
And
Is that's the
yeah,
one?
yep, that's a Anise, I believe. Mm, I could
Crust
be
will
looking
sign
that
it as
wrong.
well. Uh, to sign it, they're gonna lick the page and like pull out a little piece of grass, stick it on. Complete. Crust
Great.
makes this
Yeah,
exchange.
take a step back from that, and then as you can see it kind of posted up on the wall, you can see them bring their wings together and also make this clap sound, and a light shock happens, and then what was up on the wall in like a little bit larger form, and then a little piece of parchment floats down to the air and then lands on the table in a complete copy, a full-size copy of the recipe itself. All right, fair.
What?
Well, now, is there anything else I can help you with here, or can I go back to not being itchy, being around a whole bunch of people?
Crust thinks Fowler wants to know if you can show us more magic.
Oh, it's if you have the time, I don't want. I've never seen anything like that before.
Crust demands it.
Well, you go to that Grasskin village, and they'll be able to show you a couple things as well. Especially old Doug over there. He has one little trick that he just thinks is so funny.
Grasskin Doug,
Doug.
like the Grasskin Doug.
Yeah, Grasskin Doug.
Crust
He'll
has heard
be.
legends. Crust has never
Mm,
seen Doug.
yeah, well, you'll see Doug.
Oh,
All right,
Fowler,
hold
you're
on.
in for a treat.
Dear
Thank you.
friends,
And
dear
so,
friends, do we want to take up any more of this fair Saria early Saria's time, or shall we journey back to the castle before it becomes too dark?
Let's make our way.
We thank you. You have given
mm,
us much to think upon and much help. And yes,
And
thank you. Enjoy
supplies.
your new recipe.
Thanks.
And
all
jumps
right,
onto somebody's shoulder.
and then
You can always
Fowler.
ride on you can always ride
Yep.
on Brom.
Follow right before you leave. You see early sorry kind of bend down and kind of and make a whispering. You can't see what it is, but by the time you leave, Fowler has a double. There's an exact double of Fowler that is just a completely an illusion. And
What?
then so instantly as you're walking away, Fowler is just there's one of
Magic,
them
magic,
right
magic.
next to him.
Fowler, you didn't tell me you have a twin?
I don't. I'm an only child. Wait, who are you?
And immediately as you say that, you just see the mouth moving. It is just an illusionary copy.
Oh, Crust will do the
Oh,
voice. Crust says, "My name is Fowler."
Oh my gosh, you sound so much like Crest.
Oh my
Why do you have
gosh,
Crest's
you
voice?
sound so much like Crust.
So it's
And Brom, as we are exiting early Saria's wonderful garden, Brom turns around and places a small handful of Brom bonus bucks into, of course, early Saria says, Dear earlier Saria, thank you so much. You know, the Brunctious has always believed that generosity given is generosity received. Please understand that these will serve you well at any fine Brunctious emporium, and this is as good as cash there, and thank you so much for your kindness and your hospitality.
Okay. You be safe. You just be safe, and just if you come back sometime, that would be okay. Goodbye. And they leave and they go inside. As we return, the group's going to be returning to Sorso Castle. Is this something where, as we return to Sorso Castle, we're going to be moving over to Crust as the active player within the quote unquote scene of Sorso Castle? Um, with Crust, is there anything that you specifically want to do within Sorso Castle? Is it something where you want to just rest and move on to next day? Do you want to check in with anybody? What is kind of your idea of what you want to be returning to Sorso Castle to do?
I think maybe like a group check-in, just like a
Okay.
little bit of a vibe check, maybe over some golden tea. I think would be
Okay.
nice. We have that carafe of hot water. Whether or not it's still hot, who knows?
We can get a little warm up, get a little, you
The
can
top
get a little,
off.
definitely get a warm up. Yeah, top off. That's what it is. Thank you. Um, but you're easily able to find just kind of like a small cook fire, and with as much moving back and forth and preparation now, afternoon moving into evening. Um, when you stay within Sorso Castle, you are going to experience what the villagers experience during the night, and you can kind of make your decision on how you want to engage with that or not. If you don't want to experience what the Sorso village has been experienced, you're going to have to leave town within the next probably 45 minutes to an hour, so to
Want to
speak.
experience it. Crust is
I
here.
think that we need to know.
Crust
Okay.
agrees.
And
And
so, without a doubt, you're
Brom would
able
like to take a
to.
rest. There's been a lot of
Okay.
walking.
Yes, there
Crust
has
thinks so
been
we
quite
can
a few.
sleep and then we can wake up and then sleep.
Mhm. We're going to be moving into timekeeping wise, because I actually have a piece of paper instead of clicking back to the digital one. We're going to be moving into the afternoon itself right now. Uh, so you're definitely going to be able to have a sit down, quote unquote, sit down time. Having a gold tea, is that something that we want to 100% everyone want to partake in? Okay. That's going to give you the first attack in combat. First attack in combat gives you a +2 damage. Okay. So everyone has a +2 damage for your first attack in any combat situation. Okay. Which is definitely not a bad idea if you choose to get involved with everything that's going on in Sorso Village and Sorso Castle itself. That's going to be up to the group on how they want to proceed once actually night falls in itself.
That's part
Go
of the
ahead.
check-in, yeah. So, like,
Mhm.
maybe there's like a tea room, a living room, just like a room with a table, chair, fireplace.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, and Crust will be sitting on the table just because it's easier than chairs, you know, you lose me in the chair. Um, and after everybody's got their saucer and their teacup, we'll sit down and Crust will say, so Crust has to wonder, can are we all comfortable fighting angry evil spirits? Crust has always wanted to fight an evil spirit, so Crust is excited.
I mean, I am kind of excited too because, well, I really love the Mefrins and I really want them to just be harmonious and happy like every other folk. Uh, Knowing what they can do, there's like nothing written on that.
Crust is impressed.
I am very excited to enter into a battle of wits and come out with a fantastical story about how I bested many of them, an entire army of them, and then I can go home and tell everyone, and I'll be heralded as a hero. So yeah, I guess you could say I'm very excited about the prospect of it.
Crust must ask, you have more than you have your wits, but you also have a sharp item, a stabbing, a throwing.
I
Uh,
have a dagger, and I pull it out of my vest and just swing it around. And with this, I will be able to not just protect myself, but forge my name in the books of history as one of the greatest detectives of all time.
I believe in you, Fowler.
Thank you. I believe in you, Zeke.
Rom is kind of eyeing the group with patient affection over all of this right now, um, but doesn't say anything.
How about
Same
you, Brom?
feeling that I have.
I the Brunctious Empire, such as it is, of course, was not built without some trial and tribulation over the years. The Brunctiuses have never been known to back away from a fight, but we aren't necessarily seeking one either. And I am just as happy to find answers without a fight as anything else. And of course, should it come to it, you have my hammers, but I will do my best to look out for you.
Rom, do you think that if we talked to your friend that is a guard, that we could stand guard with them and help them out?
Well, that's a lovely idea, Zeke. And I think that we could absolutely go and talk to Morv. I know your insatiable curiosity between you and Fowler would drive you to get as much information as you want. I am happy to make reintroductions to dear Morv, but I will say that should we have a long day tomorrow, and I will probably not pull an all nighter tonight.
Crust wants to slumber. Crust has been cooking all day. So much hearty stew.
So
Okay. Yeah.
if do you want to go to the guard's gate and speak to Morv?
I think maybe, Fowler, if we take a nap now, and then since you're such a night owl, we could wake up in the middle of the night and then go and see Marv and help them defend.
That sounds and like before you're even done with that, like Val was like, that sounds absolutely perfect. And they race off to like some bedding to just like leap into and sleep.
Oh my god, that's so cute. She's like, let's sleep now. That way we can be awake sooner.
Wake me
Zeke
up when we're
crawls
ready.
over and like turns in a couple circles and like just in a little corner of Fowler's pillow. That's where Zeke
Yes.
sleeps.
Cool. So Brom
And
will sit down and um Brom's not precious about things. So we'll find, a wall to lean up against and take his rest as well. And out of curiosity, from a mechanical point of view,
Mhm.
Brahm as a makeshift master, such as I am, when I rest, I actually gain materials. So would a
Yes.
short nap count as a qualifying rest for me to gain some materials here?
With usually in the spirit of the game, when you're in a place and you're in a place like literally a castle or a village, and you are guests there and there is enough materials, period. It won't be, it was similar to,
Right.
I didn't make crust, use materials to
Mhm.
gather to make that hearty stew. It was for other individuals and everything like that. And Vorga has also said that they're able to provide you with materials and assistance, so I don't have any problem with you gaining materials while you're here, or gaining that those three materials, just by being at the castle itself,
Right.
without costing any money or anything like that. Because I don't want to do a specific quote unquote rest, because that uses up two time periods,
Got it.
and we have that the party wants to, that would get interrupted anyway, kind of with the chaos that's going to be taking place. But it's very easy to do a short rest that everyone just kind of rests for the evening. And then for Brahm, really, if you have a plan on, you can definitely grab some materials up while you're there. If you know you want to specifically make something, this is a great time to create makeshift equipment. Or you can merely quote unquote pocket any building materials that you may need within reason, if that makes sense.
I think it does, and I would certainly,
Mhm.
looking at my eager compatriots, I think that should I have the opportunity to make a few pieces of armor for them to help them, I would want to do that because I'm perhaps slightly concerned about their um, understanding of what a battle with the Mephrin might actually consist of.
Gonna be good. Gonna
Okay.
be good. So yeah, we'll switch over to the makeshift equipment here in a hot minutes. Let me see, artifact. And the nice thing is, I'll share this kind of over in our shareable thing here. It's gonna look a little ugly real quick. So all of our makeshift equipment. Um, is just, it has what the equipment actually is, and it has your cost in materials. Specifically for Brahm, you have what's called makeshift expert. Is that what it is?
Uh,
Um,
and
Let me see.
please.
Yep.
I'm a makeshift master, and
Makeshift
yeah,
master, not
and
expert. We're
so
a master.
I'm a master, and so I don't need to perform a craft challenge when
Nope.
I'm making a makeshift unit, right?
Yep.
I'm
Mhm.
the Brunctiouses, man.
Nice.
We know what's up.
Yep. This is an absolute, I said, a really, really interesting ability, because it provides what's called reinforced also, which gives +1 to any armor for makeshift equipment. When Brahm uses a makeshift weapon, it does, I believe, +1 damage. And then especially not having to roll, period, for being able to make it, and you're not wasting those materials, is excellent. It turns someone that is a quote unquote builder into a pretty heavy tank without any difficulty. But yeah,
Nice.
so if there's anything that you want to create, go ahead and take a look at that while we kind of. You're welcome to kind of pour over that if you want to, or if you already know what you want, let me know. But otherwise, we'll kind of go ahead.
So yeah, I want to protect. I want to help my
Mhm.
troop as best I can, and with the materials I have on hand and the time that I have on hand. I mean, I may be great at this, but still, thankfully, Zeke is quite small, so anything I need to make for them is not going to take up a ton of time or materials. So I would like to actually make a helmet that fits
Mhm.
each of my three compatriots here. So
Okay.
that will be one armor. I don't want to make them anything heavier because they're quite small, and I don't want
Mhm.
to weigh them down that way. But I think a little head protection for my deers might be a good
Yep.
idea. So that adds one armor. They wear it on their head, and because
Mhm.
of my makeshift mastery, it actually gives them two armor.
Yep.
That's amazing. Can mine look like
Yep.
a pot, like a cooking pot that you just used and flipped upside down?
Absolutely, naturally. In fact, I specifically add a handle. Now, I mean, we could go with like, a Dutch oven
No.
style puppet. I actually wanted to put a handle on it just in case you ever need to take it off and ad hoc a little bit of a battering
That's so
weapon as well.
perfect.
Mine's a little
Innovative.
thimble.
Ooh.
Oh, that's good.
Perfect.
I don't know what mine is necessarily made out of, but if it could end up looking like a deer stalker hat,
I
which
was
is
gonna say it
the
has to be
Oh,
that.
awesome. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm. And
Perfect.
what I would actually suggest even for Fowler is actually literally a deerstalker hat, but actually has some actual horns actually kind of on it
Cute.
itself.
It's a
Like
deer
just
stalker
little
hat.
almost this little yep, and little like kind of
On
budding
point.
horns. And it's is kind of leather crafted, but actually has metal kind of embedded into it. And so you're just it is literally yeah, got
That's so
yep,
good.
that's what that
Oh,
is.
that's
I'm
good.
telling you what your character
Perfect.
has, even though it's your character.
No, that's so good. Little horns on the deer stalker hat. That's perfect.
Yep. So
That's
and
2
as
armor.
and so actually a lot of you that did take that rest kind of wake up to each and almost where I'm going to take some liberty to actually kind of almost like these little presents that Brahm has kind of expertly crafted while I would say Brahm, even though you rested, I would almost say because you were crafting these things, is dusk has settled and you are starting to hear not necessarily screams, but almost like it's like a whistling wind that is slowly starting to pick up volume. Um, you're seeing kind of blue lights almost in the distance, but it's like the creepiest of fireflies that kind of blink in and out, and you can even almost see them kind of on the horizon here and there, but they will blink and go out. And but then the whispering and the moaning wind kind of start picking up, and then it just starts to be kind of like a constant, almost then turn into a constant, almost like drone at this point. By the time everyone has awoke, darkness is fully settled, but you can hear troops are moving. You hear Vorga. You hear her voice, this kind of really light voice, but you've ever met someone that they can just change almost the tone and just raise the volume a little bit and it cuts through everything no matter what. That is Vorga's voice, um, kind of organizing the troops into almost like moving around to the different areas. She can't prevent the Mephrans from coming in, but her troops can prevent them from entering into any of the homes. And she's doing that by having kind of like a patrol where she is slowly pulling the Mephrans away from a house to lead them back to a central location to try to take them down, and then almost playing like a cat and mouse with them and slowly pulling them away. And at least that's what you're hearing her shout, and she's setting up different choke points to pull the Mephrans into. Um, but no one, the attack hasn't, quote unquote attack hasn't necessarily started yet, and so we'll turn back to the group. And we'll move over to actually move over to Fowler at this point as active. And Fowler, what is kind of the plan for the evening, quote unquote? What you have your night attire for your going. You have your going out clothes on. So what's the plan for the evening?
Um, to shadow, our I completely forgot the name of the
Was it
guard that we
Marv or
Morv. Morv.
More.
Marv? That was it. I'm gonna write this down. It's Marv. Thank you.
Fair Morv. So Zeke and I are shadowing Morv, and going on patrol. Did you two want to also patrol, or did you both have other interests?
I mean, this could be the time for when we do our crafting. I can spend my time kind of feeding the troops because, like, it's probably gonna suck trying to fight these angry spirits.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'll um I think that's a good idea overall, but I think I want to make sure that Morv understands that, that of course my friends, Zeke and Fowler are eager and good folk, and I'll probably slip more of a few Brom bonus bucks and just thank you for keeping an eye on my friends and taking good care of them, of course as well.
Mhm.
And then
Um,
I can return to Crust and putter around with you, but
I want a
Brom is a
montage.
little bit about conserving energy right now too.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Excellent. So what we're going to do then, from what I'm reading, I just want to kind of recap, is that Brom and Crust are staying within the castle, um, support team, and then I have Zeke and Fowler going out to investigate,
Yep.
investigate, right? With Thimble and
Investigate.
Deerstalker. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So what
And
we'll
just to be
do
clear,
is,
Brom is like, yeah, I'm puttering with Crust, but I'm really trying to stay in tune with the vibe in the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
castle with the people, and just trying to be generally maybe have a general sense of where Zeke and Fowler and Morv might be.
I like to
Mm-hmm.
imagine if we have a montage scene of like Crust kind of like cooking, cutting, preparing. Every now and then there's a moment where like Crust hands you like a bowl to mix and you just hold on to the bowl while you gaze like seriously out the window trying to
Mhm.
keep an eye on everything.
Yeah.
And like I try
Was
to
it?
involve you so many times, but you're just like
Like, what is that? Push it to the limit, and
yes.
you just mixing.
Yep.
When you're cutting to, you see crust like just push it to the limit, and they're just stirring, but then they kind of back up, and it's just this tiny bowl. But then it's actually a spice mix that they have Brahm pour into the stew, and then
Yes.
suddenly there's like some puff of magic, and they're like just high five, but then actually they high five too much, and crust falls off.
You have to pick me up out of the food. I'm gonna say shh, shh, shh. Like don't tell anyone.
Yeah, and so the Brahms like off crust.
That still tastes good.
All right. And moving from there, but then there's an extremely different feel when we have Zeke and Fowler kind of packing up with Morv, and Morv is one of the runner teams, and so it's Morv, Zeke, Fowler, and then definitely not red shirt Star Trek number 3, um, who is who is called a Glogo. Let me pull them up, and
They
because I love
sound amazing.
they
Look like little crystal
absolutely
dudes, and
are.
I'm kind of sad I wasn't one.
Yeah, cave dwelling stone skin beings, eyes that glow red. They are
Yes.
4 to 5 feet tall. They have,
Cute.
and so you have more of their yellow bearded dragon type skin, and then you have Roger, who is the Glogo, very simply named. Roger, very very quiet, but has these spikes that go up and all down, completely out of coming out of their heads, pointing backwards, and then just bright red eyes that do in fact glow in the dark. Um, and
Zeke
so
knows
while
Gloggo, and so we'll
Mhm,
give the proper Gloggo greeting to Roger.
mhm. Yep, and it's very simply is that you have found for the proper greeting, you have found a very nice, even like a polished stone that you even kind of keep on you, and you and Roger actually trade these almost personalized stones, and they almost don't say much, but they kind of like put you up kind of on their shoulder, and even give you kind of something to hold on to. And so Zeke is now with Roger, who are now bonded through stone sharing. I did not make that up at all. um, and so now, as we move, we're going to move more of Zeke, Fowler, and Roger. You have been tasked with making a counterclockwise a counterclockwise movement around the town, and it's the what you were listening to as wind howling is actually Mephrins gliding in, and Mephrins, while they are spirits, they don't walk through walls. They don't
Mhm.
do anything along that line, but they do essentially do glow in the dark. And you have them kind of moving in and out, and you have them traveling in sometimes pairs of one, pairs of two and three. And as you're moving through kind of around the outskirts of the village, you see them, you see a pair of two of them um, essentially trying to break into one of the houses. This appears to be just a simple kind of bakery on the outside of town. You can tell that they're closest to one of the windmills that is kind of pounding grain. Um, and so
Crest would
you
be
can
very
see two
sad to know that
Mephrons.
a bakery is being broken into. We must protect
there,
the bakery.
there's a baker at risk inside that hut. And so
And also baked
instantly you
goods.
see. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, that's it.
And so you see Morv and Roger start moving toward them, and both of them kind of hoist up a spear and kind of go to hit, to throw them instantly at two of the Mephrons, injure two of the Mephrons, and then they start fleeing. And they're moving again in that counterclockwise motion. As they're moving forward, they actually come up upon two more Mephrin that were coming down the other way, and you have been trapped on a narrow street. And the four of you we're going to initiate combat at this point. And so we're going to initiate combat with Morv, with Fowler, with Zeke, and with Roger. And the way combat works in World of Arzium is that there's not a roll for initiative. It's one of these situations. This would be up to the GM. You haven't necessarily been surprised. If there is a kind of a surprise, then the enemies may go first. But you are prepared for battle, and you know that you are prepared for these things to kind of take place. So in these situations or in normal standard combat, we have the players going first, and then the enemies will follow. All the enemies have a certain amount of starting power. That is the additional damage that I talked about early in the session. But the players are going to go first. You can move and then attack. You cannot attack and then move. So you have your movement, your regular attack, and then your what's called a minor action. Minor actions are anything that are really quick, changing weapons out, using your common, what are called your, I think it's your common items, um, which are all along. I'll pull that up real quick. It's on the right side of your character sheet. Um, when Ryan talks about this game, he also indicates that this is kind of also a resource management type of game. That each of these common items, I haven't done it all stream, but I totally did it. I pointed at the screen. That you can totally see. But when you have the common items, this is something that you're going to come across much more readily within the world. And they are meant to be used because the enemies you're coming up against can be quite powerful, and they're going to do a lot more damage. And as they build that power through each of their rounds, they're going to do more and more damage. We have gambit actions, which are thinking outside the box, as I call it. Then your regular attacks, and then your minor actions. So we're going to go ahead, and who wants to start us out from the player side? Do we want Zeke or Fowler to go off first, or are you kind of looking to Morv and Roger?
Zeke will go first.
Okay,
Yep.
Zeke, what do we
I'm
got?
feeling that.
So there's two on one side of us and two on another side, correct?
Yep, essentially in front of you and behind. So what we're going
Okay.
to call that is currently in this battle, there's going to be what are called three groups. Each battle is made up of groups. Currently, I have a player group that's in the middle. I have one enemy group that's in front of you and one enemy group that's behind you. So
Okay.
when we think about this, ranged attacks can hit anyone in the battle. Melee attacks, you have to move into that group. If it's something that does splash damage, like we have hexite crystals that do splash damage, and then sometimes there's spells or other abilities that do splash damage, it damages everyone in that group. Okay, so Zeke, moving forward, you have two enemy groups, and you're in an individual group right now, and you're currently on more, but you're or Roger, but you're welcome to move where you need to.
So, uh, gonna start out with. I know that the group behind us has already been hit and damaged. So
Hmm.
I'm going to turn around on Roger's shoulder and take my sticky oil and I'm going to
Yep.
throw that at the group behind us so
Okay.
that they have less power to try and hit us with.
Hmm. And so, what that sticky oil does, I need a 1d4 from Zeke.
That is a 1.
Okay, that's okay. That lowers each of their power by one, so that lowers their power to two. So they only are going to do two additional damage. But they will kind of you're actually going to prevent a good chunk of damage just from that sticky oil. That was your minor action,
Yep.
and so
And
you
then
have
I'm going to
movement and attack.
take my slingshot
Mhm.
and I'm going to aim at one of them. I'm going to hit them.
Okay,
I got to
is
remember what.
the rear group again?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and make me a damage roll. And can you kind of walk through how you do your damage roll for me, please?
So for the damage roll for the slingshot, it's 1d4 plus perception. And the way our
Hmm.
attributes work, we do have passive and points. And
Yep.
the passive is always active. So I have a +1 to my perception. So it'll be the
Hmm.
d4 plus 1. Then I have
Yep.
3 attribute points that before I roll, I have to say I'm going to use. So
Yep.
I'm going to use one attribute point.
Hmm.
So +2.
Yep.
I rolled a 3. So that's 5
Nice.
points of damage.
Nice. And the thing is those pools, your attribute pools, will refresh anytime during a rest. It is not necessarily an 8-hour rest or a long rest like in 5e. It is using up two of those time periods. So that nighttime period, daytime period, just whatever is two in a row. You can never add more than four to any roll, whether that's a challenge roll, which we have not seen yet, or a damage roll. Okay, you cannot add more than four to that roll. But when you said you're using a slingshot, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and currently, like when you kind of turn around on Roger, and instantly you see Zeke break into action of pulling out this sticky oil, kind of throwing it underhand while they reach in their pouch, with a massive quickness you wouldn't necessarily see from a scholar, pulling out just a sling, just a rock or for their slingshot, and then launching it at the Mephrin, and so the sticky oil hits both the Mephrins, and then you see this bullet just shooting towards the Mephrin, hitting its center mass, and instantly, after Roger and Morv's spears, instantly there's a big flash of light, and one of the Mephrins completely disappears, and you can see that sparkle that happens. The sticky oil drops to the ground that was covered with it, and you just see the sparkles dissipate, but then almost there's a light that kind of leaves and then kind of drifts off. So one of the Mephrins is down. Congratulations.
Good
I
job,
I
Zeke.
the journal
Hmm.
and the pen comes out and is making notes
Hmm.
about the Mephrin
Okay.
disappearing.
And Fowler, would you like to go next, or are you looking towards Morgan Roger?
I will absolutely go next. My
Okay.
eyes are trained on the creatures before us,
Hmm.
on the specters that are floating that were injured previously, and I
Yep.
pull out my tooth dagger,
Hmm.
and I mutter out loud, "Okay, let's do this." And I want to race forward and attack one of them.
Okay. So these are the previously injured ones that were chasing you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Uh,
All right. Roll me
I'll
a
choose
damage
the
roll.
one on the right. So I'm gonna
Yep.
roll my D4,
Hmm.
which is the die allocated to that weapon. I also have calculated strike, which means I can use my perception
Hmm.
instead of what the weapon itself says. I've got a passive 2. It's also nighttime, correct?
Yes, it is.
I'm a night owl. Does that point count towards that?
Look real quick. I believe it does, but let
Whatever it
me.
adds a challenge, or what was it called?
Yeah. Is this different than a challenge?
I'm gonna take a look real quick. You have +1 to all challenge rolls. Um, I don't think this is considered a challenge, but I want
Okay.
to add that. I want to add that anyway. We're gonna add that anyway
Oh, thank
because
you.
I like
Okay,
it.
so that's
Yes.
thank you. That's +3, and then
Hmm.
I'm gonna max out the amount that I can add to this roll,
Yep.
which is 4,
Wonderful.
by burning one of my points in
Okay.
perception. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll this.
Hmm.
So this is now a D4 plus 4. That's 3, so that's 7 damage.
Yes. Completely wipes out the second Mephrin that Roger and Morph had injured. Um, so you see, almost as Fowler as kind of whispers to themselves, but almost like a silent scream as running forward, and then there's almost like the Achilles Brad Pitt, like the jump to the left, jump to the right, and then almost like the stab in, and you're out of the way of the sticky oil just enough that none of it gets on you, and it instantly plops to the ground also, and then again it drifts off. Um, so the only ones that are left are the Mephrons that were coming towards you.
Okay.
And Morv and Roger kind of look at each other and look at the two of you, and they're like, okay. And they kind of prep themselves to do another spear throw. So they pull out another. It's almost like their own makeshift spears at this
Mhm.
point. And they each do a very calculated throw, that you can tell that they are, for as much as kind of joking around that they both had done with Brom. These are legitimately trained soldiers, and it's still early in the night. So both of them heave those forward, and again do a decent amount of damage, to each of those Mephrons, moving forward. And then you can see them as it's kind of one of those feelings where you know that the spears, hey, look at that, my subscription has ended, surprise. Where it's one of those things where moving forward you can tell that the spears kind of go through, but they take a bit of that essence with them. But
Ooh.
it's very difficult to kind of to kind of comprehend, because you know that they can't pass through things, but you can tell damage is being done with these even just makeshift throwing spears. Um, and Morv and Roger at this point are trying to make, also they're trying to make quite a bit of noise to kind of call any other Mephrons to the area, because with the four of you here, they think that they can get through these Mephrons, with the four. Will you stop opening that? I'm used to clicking on it, but that's not where my notes are. Um, and so, as moving forward, it's going to move to the Mephrin's turn at this point. So, what happens on their turns is they will gain power, because at the start of the round, enemies gain 1 power. So, each of those have that amount here. They're going to move forward to Roger, and essentially Roger and Moore, who are the biggest individuals that are sitting right there. Just as a reference, one Mephrin did 9 points of damage and the other one did 7. um, a good chunk of that is eaten up by Morven Rogers' armor, but you can see as they almost just grab on and almost electrocute both Morv and Roger, and that's where you saw a lot of that blistering and scorching on the armor of Vorga. You're seeing that happen to Morv and Roger as both of them kind of almost take a knee with the massive amount of damage that was done. Luckily, both of them are extremely hardy. You can see Roger's eyes even glow a brighter red and kind of push off the Mephrin, to kind of stumble back a little bit. And we're going to now be up at Zeke's turn.
Okay, Zeke is going to stop and think for a second because Zeke is a scholar. So Zeke is going to use a minor action to analyze the creatures. So a minor action and 1
Okay,
knowledge. Let me mark
perfect.
that off quick so I don't forget. uh, and I'm going to analyze the creatures for weak spots. And
Okay,
after I do that, each ally deals +1 damage to the creature for 1 combat.
nice.
So that's the minor action, and then they're just gonna sling another stone, and they'll choose the one that hit Roger.
Okay,
Roger is friend now. And that is, I didn't add anything to it, so that's going to be 3 points
Okay.
total.
The
Or
Mefren.
4 points because the
Okay.
+1 from what I just did.
Yep. And it is exactly the one that Roger just pushed away. And just as you push them away, as Roger pushes them away, you're able to find the correct angle with your slingshot, and it catches it up underneath what it must be its head area, and you can see the slingshot bullet exit the other side as the Mefren disappears into a
Hit
cloud of
under the
into a
chin.
cloud
They're
of
weak
sparks.
there.
Excellent. And then I have Fowler. There is one Mefren left in front of. They're right in front of Roger and Morv, and now there are in your group as well. Oh no,
Uh,
you exited. You moved back to the back group, so you would have to move back into the original
yeah.
group. Okay.
So I will yell with like a bonus bit of flavor text here. I'll yell like, "Hey!" Uh, and as I start to walk forward, cleaning off like my dagger on my sleeve, my name's Fowler. You might not know me yet, but you will, because I'm going to be the world's most incredible detective. Uh, and that starts right now. And I'm gonna jump, Zeke. I'm gonna hear your instruction, and I'm going to, with just my froggy legs, just leap into the air and try to go for a stab right up here, doing another +4 to the D4,
Hmm.
maxing that out, and that's going to be 6.
Yes, just enough damage. And Zeke, tell me, explain to me how you take down this Mefren.
Oh, that was for
Yep, that's enough.
Fowler, right?
Oh,
It
Fowler.
is
Yes,
like
sorry.
no, well, it's funny you mentioned that because I do the flip over to the group. I land right next to Zeke as I look over to you, like gesturing like where to stab, and then I just go for like without even making eye contact with the creature. I just look to my friend as I do the jab and then pull the dagger out.
Zeke jumps up and down on the Glago's shoulders on Roger's. Yay! You listened and it worked and we did fantastic! And falls off of Roger's shoulder as they jump in excitement.
And instantly Roger almost grabs you as you do that, because both Roger and Morv have done this a number of times, and they instantly try to usher. And Morv's like, "We got to keep going. We got to keep going. Good work, but we got to go." And you can hear them. You can hear them rustling along, again trying to make noise. And you can see another 3 or 4 Mephrons coming in behind them. And again, but your way is clear at this point, and Roger and Morv lead you kind of again in a counterclockwise manner. And as you're running off, you can see in the distance as you're running through the town, there's more and more of these patrol groups of the cat and mouse funneling themselves towards what you can only imagine is just a line of torches and shields, archers that are in this section of the town. So there's these big tower shields, and the tower shields part as Morven, Roger, and the 4 of you rush through the center of this, and you hear the shields clank close, and then you hear Vorga, who's in this group, said, "Ready, fire!" And then all these flaming arrows come down to the Mephrons that are coming forward, and they all instantly dissipate. And there's no cheering at this point, because this is early in the night, and so instantly at the same point, 2 different groups again filter out, and Morven, Roger are moved over, and there's some people there that start assisting and kind of patching them up, and so it's their turn to kind of sit there and do kind of a rest. And so that's where we're
Zeke is
going
going
to
to run over
leave.
to where
Yep.
Preston
Go
Brahmar
ahead.
and be like, so I figured out what their weakness is. If you have to fight a Mephrin, go for under the chin.
And instantly you hear Vorga, pass this along, and then the information is then passed to each one of the groups and say, "I appreciate the assistance. Get some rest, and we're going to have to get you back to the castle soon. You can't be out in this." And that's actually where we're going to start leaving this session. We have, and when we get back, we're going to move back into what happens with Crust and Zeke before they even go and even try to find this Grasskin village. So I want to appreciate everyone for tuning in for this first of 2 sessions for the world of Arzium. I'm going to walk through a little bit of the overview of the game itself. Again, this is more of a resource management. As you've seen, we've gained crafting, we've gained things for cooking. Our players have used different abilities to maximize, even using perception instead of strength, to overcome their foes. We've used a lot of pieces of knowledge, pieces of our background to talk with different NPCs, gather information, and then each active player kind of making a plan for what either their group or their section of group is going to be in. So I really appreciate all my players really playing to a lot of the strengths of their characters and really fleshing out a lot of these paper characters into someone that I really really enjoy. So I really really appreciate you. Again, this is World of Arzium by Red Raven Games. You can find the campaign currently running on GameFound. It is going to be included several different options. There's Creature Caravan, which is the new board game by Red Raven. World of Arzium is their first TTRPG. Brian is a master storyteller that we were all talking with prior to this stream of writing, the artist, producing. Everything is literally in house, meaning it's in his house with his wife Mallory, who also does a lot of the music, a lot of the editing, pretty much all the editing. They have mailed games out initially when they were started on it. Talking to Ryan, they mailed games out of his garage. This is a grassroots, absolutely wonderful people, and one of pretty much my top favorite game company at this point. Nothing against Restoration Games, but is something that I was able to contact Ryan and his wife Mallory even at Gen Con, and then over email asking to be able to run a game of this. I was just so excited for this opportunity. I can't thank the players enough as well. Being able to play with B and Suzanne again, and playing with Killian and Omar, talking to you several times before, but being able to play with you is just as fun as it looks on my TV. So I do want to thank everyone, and this is not our last session. Please tune in for session 2. Where the players are going to be investigating the Grasskin village if they can survive this Mephiran assault. And definitely we're going to be coming into Brahm and Crust having their own difficulties, even staying back. So we're going to get into that next. But until then, my name is Steve. I go by Hermes4939. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on both Blue Sky and Twitter as Hermes4939. And then we're going to move to Omar to tell us a little bit about themselves, where we can find you.
Hi, I'm Omar. He, him, any are my pronouns. And you can find me on most of the social medias at Omar Najam or on Omar Najam Film over on Instagram. And that's where I'm at these days.
Yeah. And can we go to Suzanne, please?
Hi, Suzanne. You can find me at 425 Suzanne on virtually every social media platform. My pronouns are she, her. And really, thank you everybody for being part of this game. I'm having so much fun.
And B.
Hello, I've been your non-binary busy bee. You can also find me on every single social media that probably exists as bzelda underscore. I'm a podcaster, streamer, TTRPG-er, and I cannot wait to play some more.
Thank you. And Killian.
Hi, I'm Killian, and you can find me here on Rainbows and Razorblades Productions on Friday nights, where I run a homebrew game of Cyberpunk, Somnum Mixteri, where it just gets weird, but it's a lot of fun, and it's crazy and fantastic, and it's going to get even crazier. So tune in for that, uh, and keep an eye on my socials, Darcerilish, everywhere for what I've got going on. And my pronouns are any, and yeah.
And awesome. Thank you very much for all my players. And then, kind of as Killian mentioned, next week, Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, Dragonbane is going to be on Rainbows and Razorblades. And then Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, Summon Exteri with the Cyberpunk Red system. And I'm hoping to be on there as soon as I can. But again, I do want to appreciate, again, I cannot say this enough for all my players of coming on and making this such a joy to run. And this system I'm extremely excited about. But I will leave you with that, and we will see you the next session for World of Arzium by Red Raven Games. And thank you, everyone, for visiting Rainbows and Razorblades. Please follow, link, subscribe, do all the socials, and follow every one of my players here, and I would greatly appreciate it. And if you have any campaigns that are coming up, please contact us, and we'd be happy to take a look at them. And thank you, and good night.